Ever since the beginning of time, mankind has sought to tell its stories through pictures. From the first cave paintings to the drawings of the ancient Mesopotamians and Egyptians, to the Greeks and the Romans and the masters of the Renaissance. In the end of the 19th century, we saw the birth of true sequential art, cartoons. Cartoons were simplified images. Then they were sequences of simplified images. Then they were strips of sequences of simplified images, and in the advent of cartoons, there came animation.
Winsor McCay was a cartoonist who was also an animator, and he created Gertie the Dinosaur
In 1914.
In order to deal with the difficulties of animation, Ub Iwerks and the other Disney animators created story sketches, which were drawings of their characters in action that very much resembled comic strips. When they showed these to Walt Disney, he decided to hang them up on the wall, thus creating the first storyboard. This happened in the 1920s! The first film that Disney storyboarded completely was The Three Little Pigs. Then, that process was adapted into Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In 1930, eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes created the first multi-million-dollar budget movie in film history. It was about airplanes, and it was called Hell's Angels. Hughes had obsessive-compulsive disorder, and therefore, storyboards to him were a godsend because they allowed him to meticulously plan every detail of the film before shooting. It's too bad that Hughes couldn't plan for the death of 3 stunt pilots. The creator of King Kong, Willis O'Brien, was a master of stop-motion animation special effects, and he storyboarded everything. This was an essential skill that he would later pass on to his protege, Ray Harryhausen. Ray Harryhausen is one of the most famous special effects artists in history. With films such as Clash of the Titans and The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Ray Harryhausen has helped define much of what we know about film today. In fact, it was a Ray Harryhausen movie, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, that inspired one of the most famous monsters we know. In 1954, Toho Studios of Japan began working on a film called Gojira. Gojira was about a giant monster from the bottom of the ocean that had been awakened by a nuclear bomb. The monster then came to vent his rage on Tokyo, Japan. Gojira, or Godzilla as he is known today, is one of the most famous movie monsters of history and is the subject of 28 movies. Godzilla was the first movie to ever use the storyboarding process in Japan. Toho hired a team of freelance artists to do the storyboarding for Godzilla. And because storyboarding began before the monster was designed, there were many different artists' interpretations of the monster himself. Some were very reptilian and resembled dinosaurs, while others seemed almost like Japanese sea monsters or dragons.
From this moment, storyboards were bound to reach people all around. The chance to have storyboard fun now belonged to everyone.
When storyboards became commonplace for creating exciting visuals, Alfred Hitchcock hired Saul Bass, who was a famous storyboard artist. Another director to make great use of the storyboard technique was Ridley Scott, director of films such as Alien, Blade Runner, Gladiator, and Hannibal. Scott went to art school for illustration before becoming a filmmaker, and so his storyboards, sometimes known as Ridleyograms, have an artistic quality to them that make them more than just storyboards. In today's modern world of computers, storyboards are available for everyone to use. There are templates on the internet available for download. Meanwhile, some certain institutions, such as the Perpich Media Arts Department, make special storyboard templates available to their students. And although these modern, more accessible storyboards are more like story sheets than they are the boards of yore, I believe that mankind will tell its stories through pictures as long as it has a story to tell.